And lo and behold, there was a moment that they said, you belong here. And at the end of my 12 years, they said, oh, you don't belong here. I'm like, what? Yeah. And I endured a lot of suffering during that time with my mouth closed. I didn't say a word of the way I was mistreated.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything sexual, but it was emotional. It was real emotional mistreatment. But of course, they didn't see it then. And at the time, some people knew about how I was being mistreated and they saw it, but I was like, no, I didn't have anything in me. I didn't have no security in me. I didn't have no self-care in me. I didn't have any boundaries in me to say, you know what, this is wrong the way you're treating me. I don't like this. I just was like bewildered. I was like, what's going on? And then, of course, asking God, I'm in final vows. We're married. How could you do this to me? And literally, the day that they told me to leave, I left, and it was the hardest day. But then yet, in hindsight, it was the most freedom day. It was the best day.
Hello and welcome to the F.E.E.L Podcast today. I'm your host, Melissa Crook. I'm here with a friend that I got to meet with a couple of months ago in a pre-meet to get to know each other. We were connected from our good friends at Podmatch, which I'm always so thankful for. They bring me the most spectacular women. And today's guest is going to just add to that list. And I should have checked with Gina before we got on, but I have Gina Economopoulos here with me today. Did I get that right?
You got that right, Melissa. Awesome.
Oh, I love it. Gina, she describes herself as someone with humor. She's trustworthy. She's reliable. She's responsible. She's spiritual. She's beautiful. She's godly. And she's positive. And boy, does she have a story to share with you today. She has had some adventures and some seasons. She's got a #1 best-selling book that she released last summer. So much to share with Gina today. So welcome to the F.E.E.L Podcast.
Thank you, Melissa. It is so good to be here and with all your listeners. Very exciting.
Yes, good stuff. All right, we're going to start right off at the beginning. Like I said, you have had many adventures in your life, some more exciting than others. Life likes to throw us curveballs and introduce different pop quizzes to us at times. A friend used that word yesterday. But talk to me through this adventure you've been on. Talk to me about what you've learned about prioritizing your self-care and taking care of yourself well.
Wow. Yes, my life has been an adventure, and they weren't curveballs, they were darts. Darts that came in my life, fade. And I can laugh about it now or look about it. I look back upon it and saying, yeah, that's what formed me and shaped me for the person who I am today, where I can do self-care today. Yeah. I can love myself today. I could be Gina today, because, years ago, at the beginning of my journey, really going back as a child, I didn't know who Gina was. And now going through a lot of chapters in my life, one would say, or a lot of paths, some filled with pain and sufferings. And there was joy. There was like a breathing moment between each, it wasn't a full moment of joy but it would help me to breathe until the next wrench or the next thing that came in my life, which I didn't realize.
Sure.
And so today, when you talk about self-care, it's like, wow, I never knew what that word was like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever, And now today, and I'm learning more and more to say yes to things could say yes to, and to say no. No is a complete sentence. I'd say, no, I need to breathe. I need to take care of me today. I need a me day, or I need something, or, so it's been, like you said, it is an adventure. Mm-hmm. It's been such an adventure. It's, I could say today with a big smile, it's all worth it. Mm-hmm. And, so, and yes, I did write my book about my adventure, about the darts and the curveballs and the negativity, all that. And the non-self-care, one would say, I guess. I don't know if that's a word, but but I didn't take care of self. So
Yeah. 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 I think too, I mean, you brought up something earlier, you came up you were at, was seventh of 8 children. Is that correct in your family?
that is the correct. It was the 7th. Yep. True.
Yeah. 7th of 8 children, a lively, loving Greek Italian family, lots of people around. And then you went on, you went off, you went to college, you went on your own adventure, and then and for a while you were the bartender, social worker, helping people, navigate all their crises with, a little, sociology background, psychology background to help you with that. But then you became a nun, and then that was an adventure. So through that and the difficulties, because you and I met before and talked about the challenges that you ran into in these different spaces and places, you at some point along the way had to learn about healthy boundaries and how to protect yourself and your well-being. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, definitely. And you're correct. I'm from New York, Long Island, Greek Italian family, big family. Mom loved to cook. She was a housewife, house mother, raised all our kids. And my dad was a hard worker, put all 8 of us through college. I mean, we were unconditionally loved. Yeah, big time. And that's what carried me, because at the same time, when I was born with a lot of health problems, out of all the 8, I was the one that had surgeries. I was born with a hip dislocation. And I always felt throughout my life, throughout my childhood, and even throughout my life, that if something bad is going to happen, it's going to happen to Gina. Like there was like a black cloud. I felt like the black sheep. I compared myself. Look at my siblings, they're all athletic, they're gorgeous, they're pretty, they got boyfriends. And look at Gina, And so I kind of formed that interior. That's why I said I lost Gina inside. It wasn't like that I was in love on the outside, but in the inside, I was insecure. Yeah, looking at my friends, looking at, I'm not this person, I'm not that person, and why am I struggling? Why am I all this? And that carried with me. Well, then in college, it carried with me because I really didn't know who I was. So I took up drinking because drinking took away all that pain, insecurity. It's like, I'm life of the party. I'm the center of attention. Everybody loved Gina. And deep down, that's what I was seeking for, was all that love and acceptance. And they say I found it in all the wrong places. And so, and then from there afterwards, I went to go live with my family after college. And that's why I bartended. Like you said, yep, I was a bartender. I'm like, this is it. This is my life. I'm the center of attention. I'm familiar with the environment. I'm living with my parents, but yet I'm still living like a 2 separate life. When I'm with my parents, they love me. Everybody loved me. So, and even in the bar. But then yet during that time, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And that was my first tragedy in my life, first trauma, seeing my mom die because she was diagnosed with bone cancer and terminally ill, 4 to 6 months to live. And she lived 5 months. And it just so happens that me, of all the siblings, were home with my mom. So once again, why me? I mean, it was a great gift in hindsight. I was questioning why me, but at the same time, it was a gift. My younger brother went off to college. So it's just my dad, myself taking care of my mom with the help of my siblings. They came in and out. And well, then she died. And so I was literally like, what do I do with my life? I was just a bartender. I took care of my mom the last 5 months, actually watching her die. Now, backing up, Melissa, I was raised Catholic, so received all my sacraments, but yet I was one of those kids that didn't need God. Like, no, I didn't need the church. It's not cool. I'm not going to be loved if somebody knows I go to church and all that. So when my mom died, I ended up coming back to the church, back to my Catholic faith, back to the roots. And in that, I had what would say a St. Paul conversion, like, I fell off the horse. I fell off the bar stool, whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, yes, that's my purpose. I'm going to go join to be a nun. And that's what brought me to be a Catholic nun. It was just in hindsight, I was looking for that love and that acceptance. I was just looking for that Gina. I was looking for that person within me. And I thought being a nun, which is a high calling, it's a supernatural call in the Catholic Church, that, this is it. And at the time I felt it really was it. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really question God in the beginning of my religious life. But yet, by the time I left, which was 12 years later, I literally got kicked out. And then I questioned, like, God, why again? Why me? Yeah. Why did you call me and not call me? Why did, because like I said, I was emotionally abused in the religious community. Yeah. We lived a very austere life, full habits, slept on the floor, you name it. I was in the South Bronx, a Franciscan. So we worked and served the poor, as well as evangelization to whoever comes our way. In other words, like saying, oh, go back to church, come to know Jesus, etc. But yet at the same time, the sisters back then, in my eyes today, they were dysfunctional, did not realize it, still looking for that love. Now my mom died, just looking for that peace within, thinking I find it in religious life in the church. And lo and behold, there was a moment that they said, you belong here. And at the end of my 12 years, they said, oh, you don't belong here. I'm like, what? Yeah. And I endured a lot of suffering during that time with my mouth closed. I didn't say a word of the way I was mistreated. It wasn't anything sexual, but it was emotional. It was real emotional mistreatment. But of course, they didn't see it then. And at the time, some people knew about how I was being mistreated and they saw it, but I was like, no, I didn't have anything in me. I didn't have no security in me. I didn't have no self-care in me. I didn't have any boundaries in me to say, you know what, this is wrong the way you're treating me. I don't like this. I just was like bewildered. I was like, what's going on? And then, of course, asking God, I'm in final vows. We're married. How could you do this to me? And literally, the day that they told me to leave, I left, and it was the hardest day. But then yet, in hindsight, it was the most freedom day. It was the best day of my life without realizing it. Like I was such in a dark black cloud that as I was moving and as these darts were hitting me or these, curveballs, I just kept moving with it without realizing what I was doing. Yeah. I was just so broken when I left the sisters that I was just a wanderer in life, coming back into the world, the material world. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think, so many times we seek solace in places that we have been told or believe are going to bring us that peace we're looking for. And then they surprise us because I think sometimes we forget that these humans in these roles are in fact human. They are not God. They are not infallible. Yeah. And so I think a lot of times they've got their own stories that contribute to the way they show up and treat other people that maybe haven't been tended to. And sometimes we forget that when we look at these spaces and places. So you come out of here and you're at this new turn in life. Talk to me about those next steps you took, because at what point you realized, oh, this treatment of me was violating my value, my worth, the way I should be treated in the world. When did that realization happen?
It came so here after I left, I was broken, did not know what to do. So I went to go live with men and women with disabilities. It was sort of a great transition place. And in that, I mean, I was still wandering. I was still confused because it took me a long time to really realize that I was crushed. I would have to say my spiritual director at the time, who I went to see afterwards, he literally says, Gina, they're crushing your personality. I go, what? Why are they doing that? Like, honestly, Melissa, I had no insight or no outside form. Like, I was just like, but I'm a good person. Why are people hurting me? And I didn't realize that, because I'm in religious community, and yes, I learned now, we're all human and we all have our weakness and we do fall short. I know that now, but back then I was just in this quandary. Like, I was just wondering. So it took me a long time really to realize that my self-worth and my self-care, because as my journey continued, okay, I realized maybe a year after I left, I says, okay, I'm not going to go back to religious life because people loved me. They all knew me. And when they knew that I left, Sister Regina left this community, which is a high prestige community. Oh my God, where are you going next? You'd be such a great asset. Because I know that's one thing I kind of know, that I do have a great heart and I am an asset to people. I can be. And then my response was like, why would I want to go to another community where I was so hurt, from this previous one? I'm done. Right. I'm done. And I had to learn to say, okay, God, I fulfill one vocation, because that's what it is, a vocation in life. And now whatever you want to take me in my second vocation. And at this point, I left the men and women with disabilities because I'm like, okay, I'm in my 40s. I want to do what Gina wants to do, because like I shared with you, it's going from one thing to another, like boom, mom dies, finding God, going into the convent, now getting out. Now it's like, what does Gina want to do? And she loves the beach. So I came down to the Jersey Shore. I'm in my 40s, did not know how to rent an apartment, all this stuff. My dad was alive at the time and he supported me no matter what. In the convent, at the convent, he was always there. He says, don't worry, when a door closes, a door opens, and make lemon out of lemonade, whatever, like all those good sayings, those encouragement supporting sayings. So I did. I came to the Jersey Shore because that's the only place, I would say, the beginning of my self-care in hindsight, because the beach reminds me of heaven and earth. It's peace. It's where heaven and earth meets. So I'm like, okay, this is where I guess I belong. Yeah. Gina had to get a job. What she could do is be a nun or be a bartender. So I went back to bartending. So, I mean, it's like, come on, because at this point I was kind of tired of God, tired of discernment, tired of this. And to be honest with you, when I was in my teens, I thought by now I would be married, have kids, like everyone else in my peers and everyone that have white picket fence, but that didn't happen. And I'm in my 40s. So I go back to bartending and I was like, okay, enough is enough. I'm just going to enjoy life, enjoy being by the beach, love the beach, and see what goes from there. Yeah. And then, as I'm bartending, that's where Danny comes in, a gentleman. And I'm like, wow, we connected. I was like, okay, well, maybe I could, have a relationship. I never really had a relationship in my life with a guy. Long term. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, maybe this is what I'm looking for, is that loving for me, accepting me. And Danny did not know I was a nun, because prior to that, on my previous so-called dates or meeting guys, I just blot out, oh yeah, I was a nun and this would happen. I was sent away, all this, I pain, suffering. And of course they never called me, and I don't know why, you know what I mean? It's like, I would be like, how come they're not calling me here? I'm thinking I'll have a date. And I never did. And then when Danny came in, I just said I was a social worker, and we just started talking. And then in time, I did tell him I was a former nun, and it didn't scare him. I said, okay, maybe this guy would be, he's very kind, nice. But then I come to find out that he's an alcoholic, and he was drinking at the time. So my mind goes to, why me again? Why can't I find a normal guy? Not that he wasn't normal, because he was drinking. He was active in his addiction. Yeah. But he was a great guy when he didn't drink. So it was like, that's the guy I want. And, but then yet, once again, I'm thinking God could do anything, I'm still have my connection with God and praying, and at the time, I didn't know what the disease of alcoholism was all about. Yeah. So that was a new thing for me. Again, something new. It's like, why? Here's another chapter. Okay. he's going to try to get sober because we fell in love and, we had so much in common beyond it all. It's like, okay, this is good. And, but yet as time went on, he was trying to stop and I was still unfamiliar, like I said, with the disease. I went to Al-Anon, which is a 12-step program for families and friends who have someone, addiction in their family or friendship or surrounding. And so I went to Al-Anon thinking I could control him. I could manipulate him. I could enable him. But that kind of went out the window because ultimately, make a real long story short, Danny ended up dying from the disease like 2.5 years later, a month before our wedding day. I found him dead from the disease of alcoholism. And he had a tragic story. I mean, it was very tragic. But all I kept thinking is like, why God, why me? Why again? Because not only I lost Danny at that day, a few months before that, I lost his mother because the two of them were in a car accident. I mean, there's so much. You talk about darts, my darts are getting deeper and pointier and like, And so when I found Danny dead, everything went out the window for me. Everything. Life went out the window, breathing. Well, I had to breathe, but say like I was such in a dark, dark place. Self-care, I don't even forget about self-care, like everything went out the window. And I came to a point in my mind, heart, and state of being that my life, Gina's life, was to suffer, was meant to suffer. I didn't have any ounce in me to continue to really breathe and push forward because I did push forward, as a sister, after the sister, before the sister, with my mom and everything like this. Now with Danny, okay, keep pushing forward. Everything is good. And then all of a sudden, things happen. And I just like surrendered, like totally surrendered, but never realizing once again, in that dark time of surrendering, in that dark pain, that there was light. Now realizing there was such a dimmer, real dimmer of light behind it, which I never really thought there was. Other people might see it but not Gina. I did not see it. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think too, you really explained like so many times, we talk about the connection between mental, emotional, physical health. And when we have difficult backgrounds and times, so many times those feelings and those emotions that come up and impact us are so hard that we numb. And, the alcoholism is a numbing, and that is a tragic example of the physical impacts of our emotional and mental health. When we numb, it literally took his life. And so it just points back to the fact that numbing is not healthy or sustainable, and it can have very tragic consequences.
Yeah, so true. So true. It's like you're living in an unhealthy solution. And to be honest, I was living in an unhealthy solution because when Danny died, even though I thought I was healthy, even though I had God in my life or didn't have God, I mean, I should say when Danny died, God was out of my life. I divorced him. I was like, enough. I said, I married God. I divorced him. He's on the couch. So be it. You not that I didn't believe in him.
Right.
I was just, enough. That's it. I don't need this anymore. And so, but then, with Danny's story, once again, there was a stir in my heart, or not a stir, not to say yes, but I did go to these AA meetings just to find out, why did Danny die from this disease and you guys are living? Couldn't understand. I was just always trying to figure this out. Why? It was Gina, why? Gina, why? And so I go in to these meetings and I realize as they're listening, crying, anger and everything. Meanwhile, I hated God with a passion. Nobody knew I was a former nun. All they knew was that I lost my fiance to this disease, but I'm not an alcoholic. You guys are. So I'm a very slow learner, because it wasn't until like 10 months later that it came to realize that, wow, I had a bad relationship with alcohol. Wow, I'm an alcoholic. Because so true. I get back to your point when you said earlier that we numb our pain. We run away from our pain. We think that this is great. We think that alcohol or drugs, whatever addiction could be something that's a way that is not healthy for us, that we think it's a temporary fix. We realize that. We think it's a permanent fix, but it's a temporary fix.
Yeah.
So when I came to realize like a aha moment, and then I'm thinking, when I said it was on April 2nd, 2015, when I said, my name is Gina, I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, oh my God, another thing to add in my book, like I didn't know where it was taking me.
Yeah.
And I know it was my higher power, God, who was working through me to say, hey, Gina, this is where you needed to be 30 years ago. This is where I wanted you, but that wasn't my story for you.
Yeah.
Because, in hindsight, I look back, of course, I could have used the 12-step program 30 years ago. Because, now being in the program for over 10 years now, I'm like, okay, aha, I regained myself. I got a new life in a sense with God. Like I said in the beginning, I hated God, and then learning that I'm an alcoholic, and it took me a while because I'm like, it can't be Gina. It can't be Sister Regina. No, not me. No, my family's good. No, it can't, and because the world thinks alcoholism and those who have an addiction problem are bad people and you can't have it. They're shameful and guilt and all that. But that's not true. That's not true. It's just another ordinary disease that people can't control. And if we come to learn that and realize that not only for ourselves or for the alcoholic themselves, then there's like an aha moment. There's an opportunity for a doorway or a time to heal.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized, Melissa, as you encounter many women, talking, once they have that aha moment, whether it could be whatever it may be, like,
sure.
Aha. The healing journey can begin because you know who you are, and you know who you're not. You know who you're not. So,
I think, and you stop trying to be something you're not, and you finally come home to you. And I think that is the definition of showing up for yourself unapologetically. But you not only do that, you really support others in doing that as well because of what you learned. So talk to me about that kind of that realization that, wait a minute, I can help myself, but I can help other people too.
Yes, I do. Right. Of course, being in the rooms of AA, which I am still today, I help out other alcoholics trying to achieve sobriety or just being there, listening, sharing my experience, strength, and hope in that way, and being present. From the get-go, I always had a compassionate heart. That's one thing, a heart of service. And now I've learned how to balance my service. Like, I'm not there to be a people pleaser, which that was my people pleaser, like I would please everyone. Now I've learned to what's my motivation? What do you need? How can I help you? And then in that, not only in the rooms of AA, I'm also a certified end-of-life doula, which means that I am present to the dying. I put my service to the dying. And that's just something that was always within me, even as a sister. I would really develop as a sister, but it really developed with my mom.
Sure.
I took care of my mother, like I said, but mind you, I didn't have any faith, no hope, no love, and no God. So I'm holding on to my mom saying, you got to stay on here. You got to be my mother. But then that's where I realized that, there is a God, there is a heaven, there is a place after this, whether it's the universe, whatever peaceful place that one believes in, which is great. That's not here. I was like, oh my God, that sounds more peaceful than being here. Like I have no control. Like I was holding on control for my mom's passing, but yet like all of us, God, and that's where I had to learn, I had to really learn to say, I don't have any control. But then in that, God put that desire of helping other people pass from this life. And as a sister, it just came really natural. People would call me. I'd go to the hospital, whoever it may be. Doesn't matter what faith you're at. Doesn't matter what age, whatever you want, I'm there. And I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, because I know where they're going in my heart. I'm like, because I've tasted hell here on earth. And now, tasting the little brightness of I'm like, yeah, this is where you're going. So then a few years ago, I learned that there was you could be certified as an end-of-life doula. And to be honest, I didn't know what that meant. Yeah. What is an end-of-life doula? And they said it's to be present, helping service to the dying. And I was like, wow, it's like an additional of hospice. I mean, it's not part of hospice. It's sort of like, if the family needs that extra need. And when I'm talking about that extra need, maybe that spiritual support, that comfort, those prayers, being present, not saying a word, whatever it is. Yeah. And there's no right way and there's no wrong way. There's just a way where I learned through my spiritual God and to put me in places like, okay, how do you want me to serve these people? Yeah. And what do they want? What can I help them? And, and how can I help them? Whatever I can do, I can't take it away from them. I can't. And then I could be there for the family. I can't take their pain away from them, their difficulty, because it is difficult. I've been there. It is challenging. I've been there. It is a lost time. I've been there. And I don't say to them, well, you're going to get through it. No, I can't say that because God has a different journey and a story for each one of them. Yeah. What I could do is just be present, pray, whatever is good for them, whatever they need, whether they have faith or no faith or whatever it is. And in the long run, I always say, okay, God, you allowed this, you put me into this situation. Show me, pray for them. And I always find such peace in every situation I go to. They may not have the peace, but I know in myself that there is peace. And I also know that one day they will find their peace too. So it's just give some hope and strength.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think this speaks so well to your why and your values. You were able to tap into that compassionate side, learn from all those different experiences you've been through, see where your strengths were and how you could show up for others in a way that was honoring to your why and your values. And so it's so clear now how knowing those have informed how you're able to show up in the world today. And that also has, empowered you to live out of your own expectations. The people pleasing part. You're no longer trying to morph yourself into something that you think will please or appease others. You're now showing up unapologetically as yourself, aligning with your why and your values and living out of your own expectations. Talk to me about what that feels like.
Wow, it's very exciting, to be today. But I've also have to remind myself, this journey is an unending journey. My healing continues to be healing. My faith is, and that I'm human. Yeah. I'm human, Melissa, that I can fall short. Yes, I can fall back into that people pleaser, but I'm not there anymore. I have the power within me, the source is in me. And then my source is God, the universe, whatever one would call it, is to deep in and to say, hey, I need your help. Hey, I can't do this. Hey, I feel, sad today. And that's okay. And that's what I've learned. And that's what empowers me. So many things empower me, but today is to say it's okay to feel. It's okay to be angry. Yes, I could be angry even today. Yes, I could show up to life, but I may not like what things are going on in the world or within myself or within my family or friends. And then it's like, okay, what can I do about it? I feel my anger. Yes, I'm angry. I may journal it out, write it out. I can, talk about it with someone. I could talk to God about it and say, God, I'm angry. And sometimes he'll say, well, you know what? I'm angry too. You know what I mean? Like, because he feels too. God feels too, and we don't realize that. Yes, he's all powerful, but he's just as human as we are. So he feels those feelings that we have, as a woman, as a male, whatever it may be. And that empowers us like, okay, God, what, talking to him. And so, and that's what I learned today. Of course, I don't take my sobriety or my life for granted. And each day, my motto right now is like, grow and change, change and grow, change and grow and change. Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Until God willing, I'll be in that heaven or in that bliss within me that I know that there's peace where I'll be at real home or my true home, I say.
Yeah.
Until then. So, I mean, now it's like, it's been more exciting because I'm free where I know who I am. Like we shared before, like when you know who you are. But I'm continuing to know who Gina is. And and I have to be honest to you and all the listeners, there's some things like, you know what, I'm not ready yet to give up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I know that. I know, no, you know what? I don't like that. I need a 24-hour before I could do a response, 24 hours before I could respond. And it's just learning. It's just learning about it. And then, but sometimes my first response is like,
I know. It's easy to, I think that you made such a good point of like, we're not going to show up perfect all the time, but now you've got the resources within you and you know who you are to get yourself back on the track that you want to be on, because those things are going to happen. Yeah, absolutely. Those things are going to happen. So talk to me about the book too.
Yes.
Holding of the book.
Oh, my book is called Shake the Dust Off Your Feet and Walk. It's available on Amazon. And it's a story what I shared with you all, but it goes in more details and it goes to the more details of those darts and pains and joys and where I am today, after Danny died about 12 years ago, that's where I was in such pain that's when I wrote out 180 pages of my pain. And during that whole time, as I'm writing, all the pain from the sisters, because I shared with you that nobody knew what was going on, how I was being abusive behind the scenes in the convent. And so I wrote all that out and I'm like, oh my God. And then I had to take a real look at it. I had a high, so I put that aside because I was still so much pain. Yeah. And I couldn't write because I was like full of anger, resentments, and it wouldn't come out nice. So I did put it aside, and then I continued my journey, found the rooms of AA, found my sobriety, found healing, found all the good light, the good stuff, living in a healthy solution. Then a few years ago, my friend of mine who said, read my 180 pains and says, wow, let's do something with this right now. So that's what it's my memoir. It's my journey. It's my memoir, my story. I got nothing to hide really. And if I do, that's going to be my next book.
I love that. And I think it speaks so well too. You spoke to this really well, but you really went through a season between the time you started it and the time you came back to it of accepting all of your layers, all the pieces and parts of your story. Talk to me about that, because you also had the wisdom to know at the time when you started it, I need to put this away. If I move forward any further, it's not going to come out in the healthy way that I want it to be delivered. So you had the wisdom to know that. And then the healing over time began, and you were able to look at all those layers and pieces of your life and give them the air they needed, I think, to come out and be acknowledged. So talk to me about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true, because when I left the convent in that disruptive way, and someone told me I should write a book back then. Yeah. I'm like, yes, I know, but I couldn't. And they wanted me to call it The Bad Habit. I'm like, yeah, that's funny.
That's catchy.
That's catchy, like that. And so I, for some reason, because I also know what's right and wrong, what's good and bad. And it would have came out of anger, it came out of resentment, it could have blaming and all that. And so I didn't think how what my life was going to turn out. I never thought that my journey would ended up with Danny and Danny's death and all that. And so when that came out, I was like, oh my God. And somebody did say, write it all out, write your pain out.
Yeah.
And because I had stopped journaling, I stopped everything. So I did. And that's where all the junk came up. And then all of a sudden, then you take a look at the junk and mind you, when I did write about Danny's death, I still wasn't in the rooms. I still didn't know what my life was all about. I didn't know nothing. I was sort of like, somebody lifting me up and moving me, because I was just simply existing. Yeah. And of course I didn't think of writing anything. I was just simply surviving life. Yeah. As much as I wanted to kill myself, as much as I wanted to run into a tree, as much as I did not want to wake up in the morning, I woke up in the morning. I was like, okay, I'll just do what I just do. And to be honest with you, Melissa, I don't remember feeling, all I know is I was in a complicated grief. It took me a few years, really, after maybe 1 or 2 years to realize that Danny was gone because I was still waiting for him to come back, all this. And I had to write all that out and everything. Yeah. And then once I found healing within myself, the way I look at, once I said freedom to the little girl in me, that little girl that was all locked up from insecurity, from self-hatred and all that, and that little girl got built up with thick walls after thick walls of pain and tragedy and trauma and life happening without knowing that she shriveled up in a way. And with being in the rooms and realize, okay, oh my God, I'm an alcoholic, and going through all that, being honest, open and willing practically every day, even to this day, of yes, this is me. And reaching out to, for me, another alcoholic or somebody else, that all of a sudden that little girl started growing again. And once I was able to find that peace and that freedom and able to cross over, one would say, the way I look at, like, cross over that boundary, like, I am worthy. I am worth it. I mean, yes, I got a long way to go. We all do. And not to say, but I'm to a point where, no, enough is enough, no more negativity and things like that. And like you said, when things do happen to us, which it does, life goes on, I have the resources, I have the source inside, outside, to help me to get through what I need to get through just for today, Melissa, just for today. Yeah. And that's what I really learned, is that all I have is today, because today is the universe. Today is God. Today is the presence of something stronger than me that's keeping me breathing and allowing me talking to you right now today. And if I could practice, it's all about practice that and focus on that. That's where, it's like, wow.
Yeah, that power of presence. We miss that out on that so much. And we forget tomorrow's not promised, so live present in today. Show up as your authentic self today, the healthiest way you know how, and don't miss those moments. I think that's such a great way of putting that. So good. So talk to me about, you have summarized so well and brought together so well how you have learned to live out what I call FEEL, finding empowerment, embracing your layers. Talk to me about what that's done to your relationship with yourself, as well as your relationship with other people.
Well, it really is, because I realize that it's okay to feel. And in those feelings, whether it's sad, joy, or anything, you are empowering yourself, because you're allowing yourself to feel those feelings, because they're natural in different situations. In death, yes, it's natural. So for me, as I continue to feel my feelings and grow in them and learn, and then life is a lesson in itself. And sometimes, yes, I may go overboard on my feelings or whatever it may be, but I realize that I have an opportunity to look at it, to see it, and to embrace it, to embrace Gina, because I'm still wounded on the inside. I mean, we are always. And now, not only through the rooms, I'm back reading the scripture, the word of God for me. And it's like, wow, it's becoming alive. It's becoming embracing who I am. I'm a child of God. I'm a sober woman of God. I'm a faithful woman of God. Also, I've been open to there's the energy, the universe, the nature, where you become one in that. And that's healing in itself. But it's exactly what you said, Melissa. If we could practice of being in the presence, just being today, you could be at the beach, you could be anywhere. That's where the healing really takes place. And that's where your feelings take place. Like, aha. Yeah, you may not feel it like gushy, but it's like, it becomes like a knowledge. Like, I know that there's someone greater than me that's loving me at this time, that's giving me that. And in that, you love yourself, you learn to love yourself. And there's some areas, no. And then in that, I can reach out to others. I can love someone else. So Danny brought a nice guy in my life, Brian. He's in sobriety too. And we have a nice, great relationship. It's like, wow, I could love someone and be loved by somebody. I thought I would never find anyone after Danny, but I know in the bottom of my heart, Danny brought him in. And he I would say, lets me know if I'm going off the rail or not.
It's good to have those people that know you and that you can trust to keep you accountable, because I think you brought the way you've come around and you were able to go from why me to knowing, wait a minute, I've got a role in this. I have accountability in this. There's choices I can make within this to help steer this ship the way I want it to go. And instead of seeing life happening to you, you started making life happen for you. I mean, there was a real shift there for you.
Yeah. And it's been such a great shift because I feel that I'm experiencing that happy, joyous, and free within me. Within me. Yeah. Because like I said to you, the little Gina was being built up because by the time after Danny's death, by that time, my insides were cold, damp, thick wall, no light, no nothing, not even a door to come out of. Not even a doorknob or anything. And the walls got thicker and thicker, wetter, cement, you name it. And that's exactly how I felt. Yeah. Someone could have said to me, oh, there's light there. I didn't feel that light. Yeah. I didn't even have that light. I didn't even have that hope. No, this is my state of grace. This is how I feel. And I do look back in hindsight that truly that was like a state of grace that for me to experience it, because when somebody else goes through it, I really can't tell them what to do. I know in my heart that there's something mysterious is going to break through, and whatever, it could be A, B, C, D, but it's something good in a healthy way of living. It could be through yoga, it could be through, everyone, there's so many resources that are positive. Yeah. And I believe God sees it all, he knows it all, and he allows, okay, this person, I'll get, like this and this, and he knows what we need and he knows what I need. So, yeah. So today, I feel like I live more in the light. I always say more God, less Gina, that could be my simple prayer. Yeah. More God, less Gina. Like, okay, in this situation, more of you, less me, less me. Because if it becomes me, oh my God, I'll be back to like I was 30, 20, 10 years ago. Yeah. And that was a worse place to be. Yeah. So right now, instead of chasing after to be loved and, to be loved, I chase after that true and real joy within me. That has been there, and that's coming out slowly but surely, one day at a time, to embrace that. That's what I chase. That's what I'm tasting. Yeah. Yes, I want that. No more negativity. Why me and all that? It's like, Gina, why not me? Why not?
I love that. That's so good. All right. We are down to the rapid fire. Name 5 activities that nourish you.
Going to the beach, playing golf, sitting alone in prayer, meditation, being outside our balcony and watching the birds come to the feeders, and also being with Brian, my boyfriend.
I love that. All right. In 5 words, on how you want to feel the next 6 months.
Oh, what I want to feel next 6 months is continued joy, peace, love, faith, and humility.
I love that. So good. Gina, these resources will all be on our website at embracinglayers.com. Listeners, be aware of that. But share right now where people can find you and follow you, get your book, all those things. You've got blogs.
Yes. Well, my website is ginaecon.com. Yes, I have blogs on that. My book is on it. It's available on Amazon. Shake the dust off your feet and walk. Yes, I'm on Instagram, Gina Economopoulos, as well as Facebook, Gina Economopoulos.
All right. And any last thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
Yes, do not give up. Do not be discouraged. Do not lose hope, and know that you are loved. And if nobody told you that they love you today, I do.
Oh, I love that. That is such a great way to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for being here with me, for sharing your story, for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, what you've learned, and how you show up in the world today, for never giving up on yourself. It's such a joy to be able to meet you, know you, share this story. This is going to help so many women. I feel it in my bones, and I'm so thankful for your time today. Listeners, take this with you.
Thank you, Melissa, and to all your listeners. You're all in my prayers. God's peace.
Oh, thank you so much. All right, everyone, take good care, and we'll see you next time here on the F.E.E.L Podcast. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today on this episode of the F.E.E.L Podcast. If you would like more information on how you can apply these talking points that I share with our guests in each episode to your own life, really utilize this F.E.E.L framework, go to embracinglayers.com, fill out our contact form, and let's set up a free 30-minute consultation to talk about how you can start living your most authentic, organic, healthy, F.E.E.L-fueled life. Thanks again for being with us today. We'll be back to you soon with another episode here on the F.E.E.L Podcast.